if you're going to do this, and I think the development folks, though, if you're going to act like this is an IT thing, then you're going to have to start paying attention to the same things that you would if you were an IT person. Cybersecurity now is a big deal, or it's going to become increasingly more of a big deal. The difference is when you hijack somebody's car, you're only getting into one car, but with the connectivity of the car to light posts and stuff on the side of the road for information systems to help guide the vehicle and route the vehicle and ensure you don't run over pedestrians and things like this, you could make a case that that into one vehicle that does not necessarily end that one vehicle. But the reality is that if you're going to act like it's an IT system, then you're going to have to act like, in terms of security, it's an IT system also.
Hello there, and welcome to Skyman and the Bug. I'm the Bug, and that is
the Skyman.
We are here to build relationships, technology, and work on the many wonders of being a business owner and a nutcase. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you listening to us, laughing with us, and taking the journey with us as we build businesses and relationships. Welcome to another episode. Myself, the Bug Man, and I don't know, am I the Bug Man or am I?
No, you're the Bug. I'm the Skyman.
Sorry. Welcome to Skyman and the Bug. I am having an identity crisis today. I am Nike Roach, the Bug, as you can figure that out by now, and my compadre and partner on our podcast is
the Skyman.
Josh, the Skyman Schminsky. Hails from New York. Somehow got skull drugged down here to Carolinas. Go ahead.
Hey, Bug.
What's up?
What's that growing on your face?
Okay, so a lot of you may want to ask that question, but I, in honor of John today, I'm deciding I'm going to go with this full-on gray, Grizzly Adams look, so whatever. So he won't feel out of place. Actually, I'm getting lazy. I'm trying something out. But thank you very much for being here. Thank you, John, for being here. I'm going to do a quick, super quick bio. I'm not going to read it because it's just too long. And yeah, you've done too many cool things. John is a project management professional, but besides that, he comes from an engineering background, from mechanical. He's written all kinds of books, 25 in all, specifically within the manufacturing space. So if you're talking about you're talking about physical stuff, but the intersection between what's hard, I know that sounds weird, and what's software and how they integrate to each other. He'll probably tell us a cool story about some crazy stuff that's going on in your automobile and how you should be slightly worried about that. John, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Nike, or Bug, the Bug. I don't have a cool moniker. I'm going to work that out.
You got to. John down under Quigley. How about, never mind.
Yeah, it's a placeholder at least.
It's a placeholder. So I know you've done so many cool things. I mean, we can go in so many ways. We've intersected with each other. We've met on walks. We've met at events.
Yeah, you hiked me all around Winston-Salem.
I know.
I had to have been a 6-mile hike, I think.
I know. Well, you were crazy enough to agree to go to it. So
yeah. I don't think I knew what I was signing up for.
Same.
Exactly.
That's your fault. Don't blame me when you commit to drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a mile, maybe two, a few blocks at Min. But no, man, I toured Winston-Salem on foot.
It's a beautiful city. So, John, it's kind of interesting, but I want to get our listeners to hear who you are. I mean, as I said, you've done so many great things in your own companies for major manufacturers, major processes. You've coached so many people. I mean, you're all over the globe, and in your particular space, you're the Odin of your industry. So speak on, brother. What makes you cool outside of what I've already learned about you?
Well, first, thank you for those kind words. My head, might get a little bit bigger, might stretch my headphones. Usually not a problem, actually. Yeah, I started off flipping burgers. Actually, I started off priming tobacco. I worked in the tobacco fields before I was even out of high school. Actually, my mom had to drive me to the field. But the point is that, you start at some point and it doesn't look like it's going to be much. And then you do stuff and it still doesn't look like much. But eventually, you get this kind of beard, all this white in your beard, and it turns into a little bit of something that might be interesting. My background is in product development starting out as an engineer. I designed embedded control systems, and that includes the hardware and the software, industrial process controls. At a time when everybody was um, trying to move to PLCs, but PLCs were expensive. They're not so bad now, but in the day they were. A lot
Okay,
of stuff on top of them.
assuming people have no idea what you're talking about, what the
Ah,
hell is a PLC?
Programmable logic controllers, ladder logic, relay
See, there
things.
you go, speaking like an engineer. Gotta
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry
An
about that.
engineer would understand what you just said, but
Yeah.
I'm not an engineer.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what most people were using, and the company I was working at was developing embedded controls to manage it without having to go buy all these PLCs because they had thousands of pieces of equipment. So they wanted to control it. So I started off doing that kind of work, and it moved into an automotive company that was doing skunk works for automotive, like a heavy vehicle manufacturer would come and say, "I'd like to be able to drop the air tank pressure and purge the tank based on the dew point inside the tank. So I need you to calculate the dew point, measure and calculate the dew point. When it gets to a certain value, I want you to shut off a valve, open up another valve, and purge the tank, and then restart the drying process in the system. Also, jump the RPMs of the engine up, because when you're loading it now, you're going to drop the RPMs, and we'd like to keep the air pressure up. And so I was doing things like that. Also, the precursor to a thing called that allowed the tractor and trailer to communicate. It was power line carrier kind of communication, so that you didn't have another separate communications link to the trailer. You just plug your typical trailer up to your typical tractor. And by tractor, I mean, heavy vehicle, class 8 vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
And communication would happen over the power line, and the cab would present the operator with a warning the ABS had some issue back there. So, but along the way, I ended up working for some big OEMs, PACCAR and Volvo, for example, and they had a very generous continuous education program. So, and I was interested in a lot more than just writing code and designing embedded hardware. I wanted to understand the totality of the pipeline of the product, from what the customer needs and how do I know, which is kind of a marketing-ish kind of thing, and then how to get it to them, also kind of market-ish, but a project management thing. So both companies, because it doesn't matter if I'm a great engineer, I can design it. If I don't know what they want, I fail. And if I can't deliver it on time and on target, in duration and cost, materially and cost project wise, it's not a good business case, and it still fails.
So I wanted to ask you just a question in the interim. I'm not interim, but when you see you take complex situations, complex ideas, when you see like something that says, okay, we want you to do this air system or something like that, how do you approach it? Because it's a lot of individual commands that you're talking about.
Yeah.
How do you translate that for the end user to be able to understand what you're trying to do, but also from the manufacturer side, how are you getting all those complex systems to work together? Because that's a lot of moving parts, mentally as well as coding as well as physical.
Right. I tear it down. I tear down what I know in order to make this thing true that I'm trying to do, the customer's desire. I'm trying to make that true, or come to pass. I would break down what it means to make that true, and I would do as much as I can. And then I will also, if I'm working in a team, and a lot of times you are, it's not just a solo effort, I would bring this would be a conversation with everybody that has something to do with this product.
SMEs.
Yeah, all the subject matter expert, whether I'm one of the engineers or the lead engineer or the project manager. The first thing you're going to have to do is, to make this true, what all must be true, or to make this thing a reality, what all must be true from an engineering perspective. You start breaking it down into pieces, and then you prioritize what matters first. Some things you don't know, and you're only going to find out when you start building prototypes or playing around with it. That's why Agile is the way it is.
Couple iterations and you'll make it work.
Exactly. You learn something. You learn a technique that doesn't work. I have, for some of these projects, I had notebooks. I kept a spiral bound notebook, or one of the red and black ones. And when I finally get some traction, I say, okay, to be able to deliver this function, this feature, I need n number of functions. A function that does this and passes these kind of variables. A function that does this and passes those kind of variables. And an algorithm for grabbing some data from a sensor, perhaps. And how do what kind of algorithm am I going to use? I'm not just going to take the raw data and just do something with it. I need to, how do I know the data is okay to be able to use after the fact? And I would be drawing little flow charts of the software module that I would need to be an overview, a very large flow chart of the process flow internal, and then micro flow charts of the individual software modules that would be required before I even start writing the code.
In that same vein, what would you say is a project, a horror story, war story, if you will? I like to say, horror story, war story, whatever you want to call it, that
Same
looked
thing.
really, really, tasty. It's like, wow, my engineered juices are going. I know that sounds weird. An engineer and get my juices going together probably should never be in the same conversation, but never mind that, because this is the bug and this is Skyman and the bug. So we're going to make it roll. Go ahead, Jeff.
Walking with you through Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was a lovely day. I think it might have been fall or spring. Yeah, it wasn't terribly hot.
Weird. So what were?
Yeah, I was walking. Yeah, I do remember that, walking down the street. I'm like, man, that's not what I thought I'd see. I don't understand it.
Exactly. Never mind the dead bodies. Forget about the guy behind the curtain.
Oh man, no be dissing Winston-Salem like it's okay. It was nothing like that.
No, it wasn't nothing like that. But to the question originally was, what was a really good project on the front end? And you were like, man, I really like to sink my teeth. And you're like, and without, giving away anybody's IP or making somebody look like crap. A company.
Man, there's a bunch of these. There are a bunch of these.
Later, what looked good first, and you're like, damn, this sucks. Okay.
Yeah, there's a bunch of these. And I wrote down a couple when you sent me a general outline. I wrote down a couple thinking these might be good, but after hearing you describe what you're interested in, I think maybe this one's probably the better one, and it didn't make the list. It's actually an award-winning one, and it probably should be for what it was. It was it's a global vehicle manufacturer, and for the most part, the software comes out of the principle. We called it. We considered ourselves on this continent to be Hadrians, at the outside of the realm. We were the territories that were not controlled. They were by the empire, right? Just barely hanging in here. And the empire would tell us what we would do. But this project was going to be something different, where the empire was not going to tell us how we shall take the software and the hardware. And I thought, well, this is kind of cool, because now we're moving away from something that was one level of interesting to a whole new level. In fact, I wrote something for oh my God, what's the lazy project manager? I can't think of his name, about a project we worked on. We had a theme song for the project. It's REM. It's the end of the world.
Is it the end of the world?
World as we know it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And that was the theme song for it, because, it looks good when you open it and it's big. And the company says they're engaged in making this happen, and they're going to put whatever it takes to make happen within some reason, right? So it's an understaffed project. It's a large scope project. It's during a time when the integration from, there were two vehicle companies, and one company bought the other. So it's absorbing this other vehicle company into it, which meant the architecture was changing, which further complicates this thing altogether, And it was generally understaffed. So understaffed in, like all projects, understaffed in short timeline.
I have never heard that before.
That seems, it should be you'd think it's an anomaly, but I hear everybody say these things. So I'm thinking it must be I've come to the conclusion, that's just the way it is. You just got to learn to live with that.
So you had a bit of a prop in your hand earlier before the broadcast started. And you had indicated that you had worked on all these different vehicle systems in some form or matter. Can you kind of talk us through, without getting into anything that potentially put us in the grand jury?
Yeah. I think none of this is quite old. Some of the stuff is quite old. Okay. This is a C5 Corvette. It's also a dusty C5 Corvette. My apologies. I wasn't aware. This is a C5 Corvette. A long time ago, before tire pressure monitoring systems, I worked on tire pressure monitoring systems and the display pieces for this. If I had a Harley Davidson, I'd put it on here also, because I did some of that. back in the 90s, there was no such thing as tire pressure monitoring system.
Now them things are everywhere and they drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Goes off.
Yeah. The batteries go out, the little light stays on. There's nothing wrong with my tires. Yes.
Forget about the fact that it's almost flat. Just keep on rolling.
It's John's fault.
Yes.
John,
I'm sorry.
it's your fault.
I meant to say something else. It wasn't tire pressure monitoring. I worked on something like
All right. So you were working for Vet doing the tire pressure monitoring.
I did some for that. This is a Prowler. That same company. That same company that did tire pressure monitoring for this. This also had a tire pressure monitoring system on it. It was one of the. This car had no spare. The trunk was the back of this thing is essentially you see that arc. That arc is internal also. So you can put a coat and you can put a small briefcase, assuming it crushes. Right. It flattens. So, and there's no spare. So they had run flats on this, which means you better have tire pressure monitoring. You're just going to smoke the tire and burn up the side of the car when the thing is hot. It's the same thing for this. So
that is a weird kind of design, because one of my son once had a BMW that had that same issue, and I was like, dude, where's your spare? He said it has no spare. I said, who travels with no spare these days? It's like, I'm going to
tell you, I got some. I'm with you. But I have a car. It does not have run flats, and it does not have a spare. And fortunately, I take it on short trips. But every time I take it on anything a couple of hours out, I'm like, I'm kind of feeling uneasy that I don't have a spare and a jack.
Feel like you want to put something in the back seat or another.
Yeah, it's got room in the trunk. I bought the model year. The new model years come out. This is the last one on there. I'm like, I don't care about the cost. I'm more interested in the cost and the reliability than that. So I'm like, yeah. And I told myself, I'll just get a spare and a jack for this. I'm sure they're in the junkyard anywhere. Decade later, still don't have it.
Still don't have it. All right, next car.
Next car is that's a Viper. Now, I wanted one of these back in the day, but the reality is, even when I was not this old and maybe this thick, I could not fit in that car. I'm over 6 foot, a little over 6 foot, 6'1" and some change, and I'm kind of broad in the shoulders. So it was a very uncomfortable car. But I got to play with that. I got to ride in it. Didn't like it, but it also has run flats. So I worked on the run flat system for that. And the run flat system consists of not just the tires; it's the receiver inside the car, or in this case, they were separate receivers because those didn't have the big HMI that we have now that can just kind of, what do you want to put in there? It's essentially a laptop in the middle of your vehicle, for all intents and purposes, right? That the big screen that's right there in the middle.
Josh doesn't know anything about that.
I tell you, I wonder why we could.
I'm saying it because Josh put a retro. He retroed his car with this ginormous screen to monitor. And I'm like, Josh, that thing, he's like, yeah, well, I can see my GPS and everything. I say, you can also, the moon can see you with that giant screen you have in there.
What is it they say? Don't be on your cell phone for the distraction. Don't be thinking around with the radio. On the other hand, have a 13-inch monitor in there or 17-inch monitor right there in front.
It's not quite that big.
But it is huge, man. It's huge. All right. So you say you had another large wheeled vehicle that you worked on too.
Yeah, here we go. This is the good one. Well, they're all good. This is a W900 made by Kenworth, and this truck is really old. The body is old. PACCAR is notorious for they invest money in the big parts, the big physical parts. Not notorious, thrifty. They spend a lot of money on these things tooled right, and they don't want to change them. Most OEMs are, except the automotive style. People want them to be more stylish, so you got to kind of clean it up every now and again. Now, for this one, this dates back to pre-electronics days, and incrementally it has been improved a little bit over time. But when I started working for PACCAR, one of the projects we had was one of the engineers had said, we're going to gut this thing. We're going to remove X amount of wire out of this thing and see how low we can get the wire content. Because these things are large. That's right. And they carry a lot of copper wire and heavy gauge at times too. So it's a lot of weight. And in North America, we don't have length laws. We have weight laws. So every pound you can take out of the tractor is a pound you can put in the cargo and make money off it. It's a financial decision. So we took this truck and we gutted it and then we figured out how to multiplex it to the nth degree. And so that's where that one was about.
So it seemed like you have a lot of, I know it sounds weird when you think of engineers, creative know-how. You mentioned earlier before we started also that your car, the one you have around, is becoming smarter with all the computers and all the other doodads. Talk me through that slightly creepy story
Yeah, well,
about your own
Creepy
car.
story.
yeah, the wife I just got the wife a new car. My kid got the one she had, and we got her a new one, and it's got a lot of stuff on it, all the bells and whistles that are coming for everybody. The ADAS features, the adaptive driving and collision avoidance systems and things like that. Well, the vehicles are changing, including this one to the degree we're talking about. They're going to Ethernet in some cases. That's already in places for some of the features. What the I think the goal is that there'll be a common set of standard off the shelf programmable Ethernet IT-ish sort of things, but you can put software in to get the features and the functions you're wanting to get, and then some subset of that are specially tooled for your particular brand, and that'll be more like at the edge of the vehicle, not the core of the calculating and understanding and executing certain controls. It's going to be like data acquisition and very specific sort of focus areas, which means those same cybersecurity problems. Well, this has been a problem since I go on to say about 15 years ago. There were people demonstrating that you could jack into the ABS system and alter the vehicle, because cars come with a lot of software parameters. You can change how they perform if you know how to get inside and adjust the parameters of the thing. It's probably been more than 15 years that people were demonstrating you could do that.
So is it now you're working on hardening those applications so that people have that you make it, or are you seeing that as a trend in the manufacturing of automobiles, or as well as larger vehicles, the ability to protect the occupants or whatever from intrusion from outside forces, which may be less honorable?
I think it's if you're going to do this, and I think that these people doing the development folks, though, if you're going to act like this is an IT thing, then you're going to have to start paying attention to the same things that you would if you were an IT person.
Yeah.
Cybersecurity now is a big deal, or it's going to become increasingly more of a big deal. The difference is when you hijack somebody's car, you're only getting into one car, probably. But with the connectivity of the car to light posts and stuff on the side of the road for information systems to help guide the vehicle and route the vehicle and ensure you don't run over pedestrians and things like this, you could make a case that that into one vehicle that does not necessarily end that one vehicle. Maybe I don't know. But the reality is, if you're going to act like it's an IT system, then you're going to have to act like, in terms of security, it's an IT system also.
Yeah. So my friend just got back from Vegas, and she was interested in doing the self-driving, like Uber cars thing, and I just still don't have trust with those.
And my
like you
kid
said.
just did that in Southern California and said it was awesome. But yeah, I'm with you. Don't want it.
But if you consider just from that implementation of an older generation, so remember, we all were raised in the generation before the cell phone. Okay,
Yeah.
let's just assume.
And the manual transmission.
Okay, and the manual transmission and seatbelt laws. Okay, so let's just not date ourselves, but we are a little ancient by technology purposes.
Yes.
So the younger, my son, your son, Josh's children, and even the grandchildren down the road are going to be much more into adapting these ideas. Like, for example, if you think about Uber from just a straight code, think about just the transition, the time period, the technological transition in the mind, not just the application. And it's just an app. I mean, it's really weird because it's really just an app. Think about, you're getting in a car with a total stranger, which your parents probably told you was a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah, from day one,
From day one.
from day
Don't-
one. Don't do
talk to
this.
strangers. Don't go in cars
Don't
with
talk
strangers.
to them. Certainly don't get in their white vans.
No. Again, we are dating ourselves because many people disappeared in white panel vans. Kind of that
FBI vans.
Allegedly, they disappeared.
Allegedly disappeared. So we'll go with that. But in the adaptation of technology, even what you said is some of the things you worked on vehicles that has a system that was created in the 60s, but it's still, you had to gut through it, clean it up, and then retrofit it as well just to get the weight down. But the adaptation, well, how do you see that in yours? Because unlike our company, which we're strictly software, you are on both sides of the block. You got you got engines and control systems and stuff that people can do, dune buggies and tractor trailers and automobiles and high performance vehicles. What do you see the adaptation for like the new generation? Because we are considered old fogies now.
That's it. It's going to be increasing. Well, if you look at integrated circuits back in the day, little bugs.
Yeah,
yeah. That's exactly where I was going for, Josh. Thank you, Skyman. Anyway, now that they're shrunk down so small, the voltage when I was messing with microcontrollers, you had to get 5 volts to them. Now you're getting 3 or less to them, even down to 1 volt.
Yeah, we can't say the bugs head small.
No. Never. So and
that stuff's just going to continue to happen, and it's going to. This is why we talked a little earlier. I'm not a fan. It doesn't really matter whether I'm a fan or not. It is going to be this because there's a significant pressure to reduce the cost and to make feature content to be easier to deliver and faster.
Mm-hmm.
So
and that makes it a little bit more vulnerable, if you will.
Yeah, that does make it a little more, especially because it's never been a concern with the automotive industry. And from my experience for the heavy truck, for example, that was even how do I word this delicately? Let's just say Class 8 vehicles, by and large, I've lagged the automotive industry mainly because of development dollars and cost and volume of vehicles sold.
Mm-hmm.
Millions of cars are sold.
Right.
Tens of thousands of trucks are sold by any one OEM.
Gotcha.
So if you're investing money in the development, which can be expensive, then you kind of want to ride that for as long as you can to get that payback period.
Takes a while to get those trucks moving. Hey, so as we come to the close of another nutty episode of Skyman and the Bug, I want folks to be able to stalk you, find you on all the different places, show up at your house. I'm kidding, of course.
I mean, I might be up for that within some degree, but I'm sure the missus won't like that too much.
But tell us a little bit more about your company and
bring bourbon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, bring bourbon, of course. Tell us more about your company and how folks reach out to you if they want to interact with a project management or they have a book concept they're working on with regards to manufacturing, as well as all the good stuff that we didn't even get a chance to go over. Because again, your career is diverse. But how do I get in contact with you?
You can get a hold of me at Jon.Quigley, Jon, no H, Quigley at valuetransform.com, and I'm on LinkedIn as Jon M. Quigley, I think. You would not believe this, but I'm not the only Jon Quigley. There's a bunch of them out there that are pretty famous, so I had to kind of differentiate myself. I don't want all that fame.
Yeah, sometimes that's a good thing when your nickname looks like a shoe company and everybody wants to not pay you money for you calling you the shoe company.
Well, that's better than have you ever driven on the road and you see a Porto something?
Yeah.
Porto. Yeah, that's where mine usually goes. Also, they can visit the Value Transformation website, www.valuetransform.com.
Super glorious.
Or you can hack into you can hack into Jon's car and bring him to you.
Yes. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
I drive an old one, thank God. In fact, we're talking about, I'm like, it's getting kind of old. It's probably getting, I need to start thinking about getting a new one. Excuse me, another one within the next decade. And I'm thinking, well, I don't want to know when I'm about to get an old pickup truck.
Just an old beater. Just an old beater.
Yes.
Skyman, take us out.
Take us out. Where you want to go?
Oh, God. I'm serious. He dropped the ball. Well, you have been listening to Skyman and the Bug. My name is Nike Roach with Josh Schminsky, the
Skyman.
From Syosset, and I tell you
where his
high school is, because I was in Syosset and I was going to go there and take some photos so I can embarrass him.
I know why he came down here. It's warmer, right? It's warmer here.
Well, that's not the reason why.
Reason is some beautiful lady skull dragged him down here and told him marry me and have some children with me.
Yeah, so, I did that to my wife. I dragged her out to Washington State. She was my girlfriend. I said, look, I got a job out there. We're going.
Sounds about right. Well, John, thank you very much for being here. And all your listeners out there, thank you for being here. We'll see you on another episode of Skyman and the Bug in the future. Bye for now.
Good seeing you, John, again.
Same here, Josh. Have a good one, Nike.
You've been listening to
The Skyman
and the Bug. We appreciate you being here. Join us again for another episode of Skyman and the Bug. And if you have any questions, reach out to us either on LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places that you just try to find us.
Take care.
Bye.